Hey everyone, good evening. We're gonna get started in maybe another 2-3 minutes, let a few more people join in. Awesome. So those of you who are joining in now, just drop into your chat windows. Where are you from? And what is your intention from the session today? Why are you here? Is it your first time with me on a webinar? I'd love to hear. So I hear people from Udupi, Delhi, Chennai, Nagpur, Noida. Wow. Hey Amit, good to see you. Chennai, Hyderabad, super. Okay, Tumkur, Delhi also quite a lot of people. Mumbai. Okay, I used to live in Chembur, Mumbai many years ago. Okay, Bangalore, first time. Super. Yeah, so one of the questions was also, is it your first time joining one of my webinars? And also, what's your intention? So I see a lot of people saying, I'd like to leverage my writing skills as a writer. I want to learn how to make a great portfolio, etc. So amazing. Tamil Nadu. I like this response. It's like very bulleted. Um, Super. Awesome. So I love how you're letting me know a bit about yourself. So very quick thing about me. I'm Supriya. I'm from Bangalore. I know there are quite a few of you who are joining this for the first time. I'll give you a very brief snippets of how I started my content writing journey and where I am today. So you get a sense of, where am I coming from, right? What are my credentials and why should you even bother listening to me? So I am actually an engineer, okay? And I never had any inkling that I will turn out to be a content writer because I come from a very, um, very small, you could say lower middle class family from Jaipur. We lived in a one-room house for most of my life. And what my mother did, like working two jobs, was to send us to a great school. And the objective was to get a good education, get those degrees that matter, and get a job so that we could like pull our weight. That's how I ended up becoming an engineer. Then I did my MBA in finance and I got a job with an IT company, which was like all the dreams come true. But after spending 8 years in corporate and like slowly moving up the corporate ladder, when I left, I was heading thought leadership marketing for a global, IT company. And I was handling $1 million in budget. That was all mine to spend. So that was a pretty cushy job, to be honest. And I worked like hobnobbed with people from the World Economic Forum, from economists, from Forbes, and all of that. But I sort of felt that it's not, what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's when I realized that over this course of time, what I've got a very good hang of is communication and writing, and people love what I write. And that's when I decided to quit my corporate, you know, 24-hour corporate job and started my own company, which I ran for about 3 years. We were around 40 people by the time I left my company because my son was born, and we were making around 4-5 crores in revenue that time, right? And 2018, I started from scratch again. And in my first year as a freelancer with a young baby, and I'm a single mom, by the way, because my husband passed away, I made 40 lakhs. The next year, I made 80 lakhs. The year after, I made a crore. And this year, I have made 1.5 crores as a content writer. So I want to tell you that being a highly paid content writer is very, very possible. But there are certain things, which you need to have to crack that code, right? Because it's a very crowded market. So you need to stand out. And building a portfolio is a very, very important way to stand out from the crowd. So I'm going to tell you what does a good portfolio consist of and how even as beginners, you can start laying the foundation of that great portfolio, right? So can you maybe put in the chat window how many of you are beginners? If you're a beginner in content writing, just say yes. Or if you have some experience, put the number of years of experience in the chat window. Okay. Many beginners. We have some experienced folks also, 6 years, 5 years. Anyone else? 1 year. Okay. Lots of beginners. Okay. So good. It's actually good that you are starting out with understanding, what is a good portfolio and how do you start writing it. And I will try and show you my portfolio as well as it stands today, which of course will take you some time to get to, but we will, it takes time to build a good portfolio, right? And it takes strategy to build a good portfolio. So I'll try and cover some of that today. Okay, there's 7 years, 2 years stuck with one client. I want to break the comfort zone and get more clients. Okay, that's interesting. And there's another webinar which is out there on my YouTube channel, so you can maybe check that out. I have 5 clients. You can literally count them on your fingers, and they are the ones who are giving me all this money. So I'm maybe a different school of thought where I don't want 20, 30 clients. I believe in diversifying your portfolio, having more people in the system, but at a time I don't work with more than 5 people because it just gets a bit overwhelming for me. But that's me. And I know there are a lot of people who work with multiple clients, and of course that then revenue and scale is a whole different level. And I could talk about my philosophy of life, but yeah, that's not the topic of today's conversation. So let me also, just before we start, I want to say that if you have any questions, right, don't put them in the chat window, put them in the Q&A box. So I can, like, towards the end of the webinar, take you through the questions. Let me just share my screen and get started with this. Okay, 1 second. I hope you can see my screen. And my laptop is behaving very funny today. Can you see it? Because I'm somehow not able to go full screen. Okay, brilliant, super. So I've just put together a few slides, and I would really like it if you guys participate in this journey. So my first question to you is, why do you even need a portfolio? Any thoughts? Just put them in the chat window. And okay, to get work. And only I can see your messages, so please be as honest as possible. To showcase your work, exhibit our work, to get clients, to showcase other people that I'm expert in a specific field, yes. To create your own brand. It's the face of your product or service to make the client understand and connect with you, yeah. Cool. So I guess most of you are aware that it is a showcase of your work, right? So I've just sort of combined what all of you said. Someone also said to create a good impression for your clients. That is the most important thing. So effectively, the point of a portfolio is to showcase your skill, expertise, and proven results to potential clients, right? And it's really important because anytime you reach out to a new client, and like someone mentioned that they want to get out of their comfort zone and find new clients, every time you reach out to a new client, and a lot of you are beginners, right? So you are reaching out to clients, and the first thing, if they're interested or looking for content writers, they will say, can I see your portfolio, right? And if you don't have a ready document at that time, you will delay a day or two, and that delay can actually cost you the opportunity. So this is one of those documents that you have to keep ready to be able to send to your client at a moment's notice. And we'll cover different parts of the portfolio in today's webinar, and any questions you have, you can talk about them. We can talk about them towards the end. Okay, what can a good portfolio do for you? So this is a slightly different question, right? Some of you said it could find us clients. Yes, so that's one part. But what if you have a good portfolio versus what if you don't? What's that difference? So I'm going to keep asking questions and putting you on spot. So you can put it again in the chat window. Yes, portfolio should be there for freshers also. Showcase your experience. Find you high-paying quality clients. Yes. High-ticket clients, high-end clients. True. It impresses the client. Nice. Okay. So according to me, there are three things good portfolio can do for you, right? First is it wins the trust of a potential client and gets you more business. Now, why is this trust important? Because when you reach out to a person, they don't know who you are, right? So the only way they can judge you is by looking at what you have to offer, what is your work like, and are there other people who are recommending you, right? And this is what the portfolio can bring to the table. When they go through that document, they are like, oh yeah, this is the person who can deliver what I'm looking for. It can obviously, like most of you said, it can demonstrate the quality of your work, and it also then establishes a base to pitch for higher value work, right? So they know that this person has done a lot of good work and they will not come cheap. Yeah. Because a lot of times, if you know that there are content writers, in fact, the majority of content writers who are stuck below the 2 rupee a word kind of a rate. Yeah. And a lot of volume of content gets created in that bucket, but I personally charge as much as 40 rupees a word, right? Sometimes even more than that. That is because I have invested times and energies into building that portfolio. So when they look at that, they know that, we can't even offer her a 2 rupee rate because she's not going to agree, right? And that just ups your value considerably. And of course, what it does is it, oops, it provides, the client with something that they can share it with their final decision makers, because a lot of time it will happen that the people who are talking to you, negotiating with you, asking you for your portfolio, are not the final decision maker. They have to sell the idea internally that, okay, this is the person we need to hire. Now if you give them a good portfolio, they can easily pass it on to their managers and say, this is a good person, here's their portfolio, and I think we should hire them, right? So you give them that base to really work with and get you on board. Any thoughts here? Like I said, anything that you have to say? Oh, you can't hear me clearly. I'm so sorry. My earphones suddenly stopped working today. I just hope this is better. I'll try and talk louder. Okay. So the next question is this. What does a kick-ass portfolio look like? Yeah, and I'm not going to ask you this question. I'll just answer this for you directly. According to me, again, opinions differ. According to me, a good portfolio has 5 important things that you should put in place. The first thing is a cover letter or a message that outlines your value proposition very, very clearly. Okay. Now, this cover letter or message is either the email that you will send out to your client, or, if you're reaching out to them through LinkedIn or WhatsApp or wherever, like a short snippet of who you are, what you do, and what's the value you bring to the table, right? So that's like a tiny piece of the portfolio. Second and most important thing is samples of your work, right? And these samples, not just any samples, but samples that show your versatility as a writer, and that also shows some experience in the field that you are pitching in, right? So if you're pitching, for example, to a financial services client, right? Don't send them something about healthcare. Send something that you've written in the finance domain, maybe something, some blog, some articles, some social media posts, some emails around that domain. Now, you might say, I don't have, samples for everything like that. So what we need to do is, and this is where goal setting also becomes important, right? Who are the people you want to reach out to? And for them, customize different types of portfolios. So for example, even me, I have 2, 3 different types of portfolios that I send to customers One is my tech portfolio, which is only for clients in my, the tech space. So that is ready. And every time a new technology client asks for a portfolio, that's what I send them over. The second portfolio I have is for non-tech clients, which are primarily coaches and consultants. And that's what I send out when they ask me for a portfolio. And it is very curated to them, that what is their problem, what do they need to like get out of content creation, and what is the value I bring to the table. And the samples are also stuff that I've written for coaches and consultants. And the third portfolio I have is my speaker bio. So I also talk at different companies. In fact, like for one speaking session, I charge as much as 50,000 bucks. So that's the kind of value that you're getting in today's session. And for that, I have another portfolio which talks about who are the clients that I worked with, what are the topics I talk about, what's the benefit of doing these sessions for their teams, etc. And that's a different portfolio, right? So it might sound like a lot of work, but it is important to do, because then it tells the potential clients exactly what you bring to the table and how they need to engage with you. Understood? So I can see some questions, but please put them in the Q&A box, because chat window is difficult for me to monitor on the questions part, and I'll take them towards the end. Yeah. So we have cover letter, we have samples of work. Then you also need to have a bio that establishes your expertise. Now, it doesn't have to be a really long bio. It could be just a couple of paragraphs which tells them who you are, what is your experience, what's your expertise, who all have you helped, and also maybe some personal stuff, right? Like, so I talk about how I have a dog, and what my passion is, storytelling and things like that, right? So a little bit about yourself, which makes you very human to the other person, right? Now then you're not just another resume in their inbox, but actually a person who they can maybe in some way relate to. And finally, it should also have testimonials and social proof, because that's really, really important. When you put in testimonials, when you put in social proof, people know they're not the only ones who are, trusting in your work, but others have done so. Now, there might be a question, what do I do as a beginner? I've never worked for anyone. I don't have any testimonials. So I'm going to answer that question later as well. But this, what we're talking about, is an ideal portfolio, and what are the things you really, really should look at. And finally, of course, your contact details are a must, because if they need to reach out to you, then they need something to reach out with, right? So, any thoughts here? Anyone who wants to know something? I know people are asking what should newbies do. I'll come to that. Anything that you have in mind, you can put in the chat window or Q&A box. Okay. So the first thing is that your value proposition is a key of building any portfolio, right? You can't just randomly put things together and expect that this should be enough for the client. Like, I've been now hiring people and working with people for the past 10 years. And I've always noticed that when a freelancer sends me a Google Drive link with 300 samples, chances are I will not look at anything at all, because I don't know what's their best work. I don't know which one is relevant to what I'm looking for. So it's not a client's job to dig through your portfolio and figure out what are you good at, right? You need to craft that value proposition very clearly for your client, saying, you need this, and here's why I'm the best at it, right? How can I make your life easier? Nobody is looking at, um, you know, a person who can string two words together anymore, because we have all these AI, chat GPT, and all of that, right? So the lower level of content is anyway going to move to AI. But with that said, what do you bring to the table that makes their life easier, right? So for example, when I say what my value proposition is, I save them time, right? And time is the most important factor for my clients, which is why they're willing to pay me so much money. Yeah. And I save them time how? By making sure that they don't need to brief me on anything. They give me a topic, I do my own research, and I write it out at a level that is easy for their CEO to say, yes, this works, and let's go ahead and publish it. And I save them time by making sure they don't have to do any rework on it. So Rarely anything I write comes back with feedback or comments. So the content goes through in one go, which saves a lot of review time for my clients as well, right? And for them, that time is really, really precious, and which makes them, really trust my capability to get things done. So that's one value proposition. Second is I bring to the table the understanding of the space, right? I probably know tech as well as their CEO does. Yeah. And therefore, it makes it easier for me to think along those lines. And that is also another value proposition that they are willing to pay for. So figure out what is your value proposition and make sure it comes out very, very clearly in your portfolio. Yeah. Um, so here's one way to define your value proposition. And maybe you can think about it over the weekend and see what is a statement that you can craft out of it, right? So basically, like I said, a value proposition is something that tells the client why should they choose you. And like I said, there are many ways you can do that. For me, it was, they save time and they save the thought process also. They don't need to take any cognitive load. I take it for them. Yeah. But if you are beginning, these could be quality, efficiency, cost, are various types of value propositions that you can define in your portfolio. So quality is you deliver better than anyone else, right? So the content you write will have no iterations or minimal iterations, and therefore you need to be paid well and you need to be onboarded, right? Efficiency is that you do quick work. So the client has trust. If I give you something today, you'll turn it around in 2 days, or even in 24 hours. So people who are looking for good work urgently will come to you, right? So that could be efficiency and on-time delivery, or faster delivery could be another value proposition. And finally, there is the cost value proposition, which is something that I don't recommend people do because you're already operating in a space where the money made is very different, right? Like I said, people are earning as less at 10, 20 paisa for per word. So you don't really want to depend on cost, because then it becomes like, you go to a vegetable market and you haggle with a vegetable vendor and people will say, reduce 10 paisa more, 20 paisa more, versus you go to a mall and, in a supermarket and you pay for the same vegetables, the price that is listed on the packet, because there is nothing to negotiate about. So I'm not a very big fan of cost as a value proposition, but if you're a beginner and you need to get into the space, sure, you work on it for a little bit, and then once you have a strong portfolio, then you move it out of the equation and focus more on quality and efficiency. Yeah. So that was my thought process. I also had a slide on it, but yeah, never compete on cost, compete on value, right? So this also I articulated a little bit, what is the value that clients get working out of me, with me. So I'm just going to quickly read it out for you. So I think like a CEO, I can shape ideas and words that don't feel out of place from their desk. I also often know as much as the subject expert, so I help them identify what is it that they should talk about. I write impeccable content, which is error-free, relatable, engaging, and it can I can shift smoothly between styles. If you are planning to be a writer for other people, brands, etc., then you need to have the skill shift between voices and tones of different people, because it's not yourself you're writing for, but for those people, right? So that versatility is really, really important. I of course deliver on time every time. And if there is an unforeseen event, because that happens to all of us, I keep my clients informed that this has happened and stuff is running a bit late. And finally, my work barely needs a feedback. And if and that helps the client close things faster to their ultimate writer's satisfaction, right? So this is like my value proposition, very clearly articulated, and you need to sit through and think, what is it that you bring to the table, right? What are these kind of statements that you can make, which will make a client trust you, which will make a client say, yes, this is a person I want to work with. Okay. Cool. So, you guys can take a screenshot of this, maybe, if you like. Okay. This is like a sample cover letter I have for you. And like I said, take a screenshot. And for those of you who stay till the end of the webinar, I will also send it over to you so you can use it in the cover letters that you're sending out with your pitches. So this cover letter goes after you've had a chat with the client. Okay, I'm not a big fan of cold outreach. I prefer having a conversation with the client first to understand what is it that they want, and then sending out an email and saying, this is what we spoke about, and here's my portfolio for you to look at. But yes, I understand as beginners, you would want to do some cold outreach to find your first clients. And when you do, first, possibly if you do try have a phone conversation, so you get some sense of what is it that they want, right? And then customize your cover letter and your portfolio to that and send it out. Yeah. So that makes like a very, very big difference. So this is a simple cover letter, which is after you've had that call, you just simply say, thank you for your time. As discussed, I am sending my portfolio for reference. You attach that. And in a nutshell, and this is basically a sample of what I send out, right? I've been a content and communication specialist for so many years. I have successfully delivered content assignments for, list some companies. My clients prefer me for my whatever that is, right? Quality, consistency, etc. And with my expertise in content creation, I have been able to do what? So add 2, 3 things that you have done for your clients. Now, again, beginners, I know you might say, we don't have this section, so it's optional. If you have proof points, add 2, 3 bullet points within the email, and that will make your message much more stronger, right? And again, show that you're interested. I'm excited about working with whoever that company is, and I'm sure I can deliver engaging content that aligns with your brand and business goals. And just thank you again. Let me know if you need anything else. I look forward to your response. So that's pretty much it for a cover letter. You don't have to write pages and pages of it. Very clear, very crisp, outlining everything that is important, and your portfolio is attached. Yeah. And this you will ideally send via email. Now, so we did the cover letter. Then there are some samples that you should include, right? Now, every time you send something to a client, like I said, you need to have a customized portfolio, right? So customized samples. So samples that you should send to a client, don't send, like I said, those 300 ones, one Google Drive, everything is stuffed into it. The client doesn't know what they need to look at, and your link will just go waste. So what you should include is samples that are relevant to the industry that you're pitching to, samples that demonstrate how you can write in different tonalities and for different channels, right? So include maybe a blog, a couple of articles, some social media posts, and emails, some sales collateral like case studies or brochures, flyers, web pages, etc. So they know that yes, you can do all of these different things. And how do you shift your tone between channels, right? So an email will sound different from a social media post, will sound different from a blog. And you have to sort of tell them that versatility that you have as a writer, that yes, I can write all different kinds of formats. Again, it's not necessary to have all of them. But for example, you reach out to a client, they say, yes, I want you to work on blogs with me, then only send blog samples, right? And if you feel, and this will take some time, right? If you feel that they will also benefit from social media, after sending, let's say 3, 4 blog samples, you say, by the way, I also do social media, and just for your reference, attaching 2 social media posts that got really high engagement. So don't try to push everything at once. Be very, very, get the foot in the door first, right? And once you get the foot in the door, once you deliver one content piece amazingly well, they automatically will send you more work, right? So be a bit strategic about it, as you try and reach out to client, as you share your portfolios, because sometimes and very important thing, which I'll come to later also, don't be desperate, right? Don't say, give me anything, I will do that. Because people sense your desperation, and then they don't want to work with you because, they're like, uh, is it even going to be worth my while, right? So, and they will also take advantage of in terms of negotiating, because they know that you desperately want the job. So they will really, really negotiate on the price. So we'll come to that a little bit later as well. But what I wanted to say on the slide is, be careful with the samples you include, and give the client what will help them make a decision. Okay, just don't randomly send stuff. Also send samples that showcase your best work and the work you can deliver consistently. It has happened so many times that content writers have sent me samples, but when I saw the samples, they were amazing, so I gave them some work. And when the work came back, it was nothing, nowhere close to the quality of the samples they had sent, right? And which is a very bad experience for the client. And of course, I'm never going to work with them again because possibly the samples they sent me was not 100% their work, right? And that's plain blatant cheating. And that's not going to get them anywhere. And that also applies to ChatGPT. Don't copy paste stuff from ChatGPT and send it as your samples. It's good to use ChatGPT as a content writer to get ideas, to improve the quality of your writing, to get some thought process going, to overcome writer's block, but it shouldn't become the writer instead of you, right? So be very careful of sending only work that you can deliver consistently. And also it's a great idea to send stuff that you've published online, in media websites, etc., because again, that is social proof that tells them that yes, because you've been published on these websites, your content has some merit, and they can take a chance on you. Yeah. Cool. So when I talked about do's, here are some don'ts. And very quickly, because I've already covered some of it, don't send hundreds of samples. Only 5 to 6 relevant ones are fine. They don't want to review your content. They just want to have a cursory glance to see, can you write the way they want you to write, right? Don't send, if you're writing, pitching for business writing, don't send poems or personal journal entries. I'm telling you, that really, really, really annoys hiring managers because that's not relevant to them, right? They don't. And business writing is very different from poems, personal journal entries, and short stories. They're not looking for that. They want to see, can you communicate their message in a way that their audience understands? And non-fiction, fiction are very, very different spaces to be in, right? So make sure you don't do this. Make sure you're carefully checking your samples before you're sending it out. Don't Definitely no spelling, grammar issues, plagiarism, or even formatting. Like, you won't believe I've got some ridiculous stuff from writers. And then I actually have to sit and wonder, how do they even expect people to give them work? Like, I got a 50-page document as a sample, and it was like on every page, there were 2, 3 different fonts used and 2, 3 different colors used. I'm like, I don't know if I'm reading a children's book or what is the point of it. It was very, very off-putting. So make sure you present information very professionally, very well done, because as much as we say don't judge a book by its cover, we all do, right? So this is the first impression that you're making on your client, and you want to make sure it lands well. And the professionalism that you show in your portfolio tells the client that this person will approach the work also professionally because they've spent time doing this, right? Okay, another very, very important point. Do not include samples that contain another client's sensitive information. You could be sued for it. Yeah. So you have to be very sure that, one, you have permission from the client to share those samples, and two, any sensitive information, names, client names, etc., anything proprietary is marked out in black, so anybody else is not able to see it, right? And like I said, don't include samples that are not 100% your work. And let's say you wrote something and then somebody else edited it. If you're sharing that sample, make sure you mention that I wrote it, but then there was an editorial layer on top of it. Honesty is going to help you. Okay. And of course, don't include AI generated samples. Cool. Okay. So we covered the cover letter, we covered the samples. And the next thing is to create a great bio. Yeah. What is a bio? It's basically shows who you are, what are your accomplishments, what are your capabilities. And it should be, like I said, be a small paragraph or two. So one is, you can give a interesting opening if you like, that's optional. You have to, of course, introduce yourself, give your name, designation, what you do. Give them a quick look at what you can do, right? What you do and what you can do. So where does your strength lie? What are some of the things that you're really good at? And then showcase what you've done. So list out organizations, industries that you've worked with. What are the kind of results that you've delivered? any places that you've been featured, and you can also, include your education here if that's relevant, and any role shifts that have happened for you. And finally, give a glimpse of your personality, which is, things that you're passionate about. So this is my bio, what I send out to my clients. And as you can see, the first thing I highlight in my bio is where I have been featured, which is social proof. The minute people say that, see that I'm a TEDx speaker, I have been featured on the World Economic Forum, on television, they sort of know that this person has some level of intellect, right? And therefore, the credibility starts building immediately, that she had something worthwhile to say, which is why she has been featured in all these places. And once you start placing your articles in media publications, you can also start building this. This didn't happen overnight. It took me years to build this, but I did that consistently. And that's why, it's something that now I can send out without a second thought, right? Now, if you can see, this is where I start talking about who I am, which is and an interesting opening. So I say content is a lead gen gold mine, but not everyone knows how to mine it. So I've put in a opportunity and a problem statement, that there is opportunity in content because it can get your business leads, but not everybody is good at it. And then I say content is what you need. So I am trying to build a case also in my bio, right? That it's what you need to engage your audience, to get them interested, to get them excited about your product or service. You can use it to educate, inform, or entice. And then I say, I am the master of it, right? That Supriya has mastered the art of producing engaging, immersive, irresistible content that converts. So I'm telling you, I'm not just writing random things for you. I'm writing content for you that is going to convert business for you. And that's what ultimately all clients want, right? And then I talk about what's my capability, that I have a way with words. I've been a voice of business leaders for over 16 years. I've consulted 60 plus clients on their brand messaging, story, content strategy. I've facilitated 500 plus hours of learning. And also I've been published on various platforms on, topics of my interest. And then I talk about my personal side, that I have a baby boy, I have a dog, I thrive on new ideas and experiences, and my passion is telling stories that matter, building meaningful connections, and serving the community in whichever way I can. So I'm giving them a glimpse of who I am. I've already told my achievements, I've told my strengths, I've told them why I am important for your business, and then I say, this is who I am, right? And then I also talk about my contact details. So this is how you can reach me. So that's a very small bio that is included as a part of my portfolio. So you need to start building this 1 or 2 paragraphs for yourself also, right? Cool. So one very important question that everybody seems to ask is, what can you do if you're a beginner and have no samples or experience to speak of? Any thoughts on that? Put that in the chat window. What do you think? If you're a beginner, what can you do? I'm seeing some questions, but I'll answer them later. For now, you answer my questions. What if you're a beginner? And I know there are too many of you. But what can you do? Okay. Be honest, you're a beginner, but create samples. Yes, that's a good strategy. Anyone else? Write a few articles and publish them. Yes. Start writing samples. Yes. Create the samples of your niche. True. You can talk about what are your plus points. Offer free samples. Yes. List some samples of your own. When I was a beginner, I wrote my own version of existing blogs, articles to show clients. Yes, that's also brilliant. Beta work. Collect testimonials for free to have samples at first. Start blogging. Yes. Showcase the skills with a few free samples. True. All that is right. Okay. So you guys know the answers, but I'm just summing them up for you on the slides. If you are a beginner, then here's how you can get started on your portfolio. First is create samples for the niche you want to write in. Okay. So you may not have one niche, you can have 2, 3 different ones, but create samples accordingly. Start pitching to media websites to get your articles published and strengthen your bio. So I know this is the last time I did this session. I told the group that you can get your articles published on Women's Web, for example. They publish a wide variety of lifestyle stuff. And one person took initiative. She wrote an article, she got it published on Women's Web. And now she can always use that logo and say, hey, my article was published on this platform, right? So find out good media houses and get your articles published, and then you can use their logos in sort of saying, I have written for all these places, right? And in your bio, instead of years of experience or whatever, focus on your energy and enthusiasm to contribute, right? Why do you love content writing? What does it mean to you? Why are you so excited to write for this company? So talk more about that and less about years of experience. Like someone said, be honest that you're a beginner, but that you're willing to really go the length with it, right? And in the cover letter, have an option to do a free project, like a pilot or a sample, right? And you can say, if you like it, then you pay, or otherwise you don't pay me. So that also would, because everybody likes free stuff, right? So that will also at least get you the foot in the door. And then if you do good work, you're in, right? The other thing that someone else said was, and this, I was just talking to someone from my cohort yesterday to say, if you want to pitch a client, don't send them random samples. Go to their website, go to their social media sites, subscribe to their emails, see what is it that they have. Then pick up one asset, rewrite it better than what it is, and say, hey, you know what? I went through your website, or I got your newsletter, and I think your company is so awesome. And you could have really, really good engagement if you only changed this little thing in your social media or this little thing in your email. And here's a rewritten version of it. And I think I could really do that for a lot of your content. So if you want, happy to have a chat, right? So that way you could get in faster, because you're telling them there's scope for improvement in what they're doing. They're doing awesome, but they can do better, right? So be nice about it. Don't say you're writing rubbish. And of course, for testimonials, you can do some small samples for your peers, friends, family, and get them to comment on your writing or your work ethic, which should be enough to begin with. And as you keep doing client work, or even if you do a free project for someone, take a testimonial from them, right? So that later helps you get more paying projects. So I'll give you an example. In 2020, I started my speaking business as I just started it out, right? And then I did a lot of free sessions for a lot of different companies, um, and just because I wanted those logos on my bio, right, to say I have spoken at these companies. And then now this year is when I took it more full time, and I said, okay, here's a whole deck about my speaking capabilities, and this is one slide that shows I've spoken for companies like Adobe, GE, Schneider, all of that. And once you have those names, right, then you can charge the price that you want, right? So then I say, oh, I charge 50,000 for 1 hour, and people are like, cool, like that's fine with us, right? So that's built me a nice income stream as well. So do free work in the beginning, that's fine, but make sure you get a testimonial and a logo out of which can get you more work later. So your portfolio basically is an investment you're making today to get good results tomorrow. And also very important, because a lot of time people don't do this often, right? But you have to keep updating your portfolio as you build experience every month, every 3 months, every 6 months, whatever time your changes are happening. Go back and see, can I add one more logo, can I add one more year to it, my experience, can I add one more case study to it, and keep evolving it every time that you send it to clients. Yeah, so that's how you can start on your portfolio as a beginner. Okay, and this is another very important question that I keep getting asked: how should you send your portfolio? Any thoughts on this? Anyone? How should you send your portfolio? Email? Yes. Blog or website? Okay. Google Drive link in the email. Cool. So you know why this question is there? Because a lot of times, this community, the Content Collective, is now 25,000 people. Yeah. So I get around 200 emails and WhatsApp messages every day. I can't respond to all of them, but I keep seeing them to see what is it that people are the most pressing questions people have. And one of it is, how should you send your portfolio? And a lot of budding content writers seem to think that they need a website to be able to send their portfolio. Trust me, even I don't have a website. Like there is one which I did in um, some years ago, thinking I will use it as a platform to launch, productize my speaking offerings, but never happened. So that website is sitting somewhere. I don't use it. Uh, and I feel it's a lot of time, effort, and investment to build a website, right? It's totally not needed. Till date, I send my portfolio as a PDF document with a couple of links to work that has been published here and there, or I attach some PDF samples in the email itself. I don't take too much stress about websites and everything. In fact, so my company is called Upcred Consulting Private Limited, right? And if you go and search for Upcred Consulting Private Limited, you will not find a website. We don't have a website, but we do 1.5 crores in revenues. We're planning to do 2 crores this year. So I think, putting too much effort in building a website for yourself is just a no, big no. Okay. Uh, go with the simplest things first, and build up as you build your business, right? Focus on really, really important things first. So you don't need a fancy website. Send attachments, Word document, PDF is also fine. Don't send it in the first email though, because that could land in spam. First, ask them if it's okay. I will send you a link or an attachment with my, um, you know, in email. Once they reply, then you can send it, and be conscious of file size. Don't send them like a massive document that they can't open or it doesn't go through. So when you work with corporates, some of their mailboxes do have limits. So a file which is greater than 10 GB, for example, will not go through. And for some, it's as low as 3 GB. So if you like send a very, very massive file, it doesn't go, right? So make sure your file sizes are small, everything is compressed. If you're using images, make sure you're compressing it such that it is fit to be attached to an email. You can also send a Google Drive link, but remember, it should be customized and accessible. So many times writers have sent me a Google Drive link. When I click on it, I have to ask permission, and then nobody goes there again, right? Because we get resumes, we get, requests for work almost every day. So if you're caught by attention for that 1 minute, but you've lost that attention by not having that link accessible, you're probably not going to get it again. Yeah. So make sure the links that you're sending are customized and accessible to the person you're sending them to. Links to published works are awesome. If you can build that and send that, that's nothing like it, right? So media websites, client websites, social media links, any Medium, WordPress, or other blogging sites that you've written on, you can send those, right? And that's pretty much what all clients need, right? And then all of this you need to put together professionally. Make a nice document, like I said, do a bit of formatting, etc. Okay. I know why this slide is not working, but let me just check. You want to see my portfolio? If you want to see it, then type yes. Okay. I will show you. 1 second. So I send my company's portfolio, of course. I mean, I'm the only person, but I still send it as a company. Let me quickly share it. You can see on screen. Okay. So I put a lot of time and effort into this. Okay, so this is how it's titled, right? I am driving business with thought leadership content because that's what I do. And I also give a disclaimer, which applies to you all also, don't copy it. And then I tell them what is happening, right? That because I do B2B tech marketing, so it's very clearly I've said B2B marketing has shifted. I tell them the buyer journey is changing. So I'm telling them that your end user that you're trying to reach is looking for very different things, right? Where are they spending time buying? And because they're there, what I'm trying to tell them is you need to be where your user is. And when you need to get there, you need content, because at the heart of every great brand is brilliant content. Then I explain to them what is thought leadership, which is what do I do, right? And then I explain that. And then I say, I put a business case for it by giving them data points and how others are using thought leadership. And ultimately, I say, if you do this, it helps you build business by doing XYZ things, right? So I'm not just saying create random content. I'm saying it is going to get you business. And then I give some more data to support. Yes, thought leadership drives business. Then I say, okay, because all this is happening, you need my help. And, me and my team cumulatively have this much years experience. We've done, brand stories for over 60 people. This is like my client set, and these are my services. So what is it that I offer? This is my bio, which I just showed you. Then I have testimonials from my clients. Then I have case studies of work that I have delivered, several of them. Then I have some samples of content. Now, every time I send it out, I change this, yeah? But this is my tech marketing thing. Then I've also told how I help leaders, and then some samples of leadership branding also, and then contact details of how they can get in touch with me. So it's around 25 slides, but it is, when I started, I had just 2 slides. And from then it has grown to 25 slides, but that's, pretty much what it is today. I'm going to move to, that's all actually I had on the portfolio part. If it is okay with you guys, I will talk a little bit about my upcoming program. Is that okay? If it's okay, you can type yes. I'll give you a quick brief and then I'll go to answering questions. Okay, why can't I see you people? Okay, cool. So, as you know, I do something called the 8-week intensive, which is a 2-month program. And this is the 6th batch, which is starting in February. And I'm going to open applications to that this week. I've been traveling, etc., so that's running a bit late from my end. But essentially what I'm trying to do, and I don't know how many of you did my 30-day email course. If you haven't, I'm just going to send you the link. That's a free 30-day email course. And that is awesome, if I say so myself. So I'll put the link in the chat window. So there's a free 30-day email course which talks about, there are writers and then there are highly paid writers. What do you need to do to get in the highly paid writers club is what we talk about in the 30-day email program. And when I started talking to the community, I realized that people don't know what it takes to be a good content writer. Yeah. And a lot of people think, okay, I know a language, I can write whatever it is, but that's not true. Companies are not creating content for the heck of creating content. Oh, I need 20 blogs. What are those 20 blogs doing for my business, right? Ultimately, every business has to make money. That is what is more important. And what those blogs do is take the company's message to the audience. Yeah. And most people have that disconnect. They don't know what that message is going to be, or, how to even articulate it. What is it that the client wants? Most people don't know it. And that's why I started the 8-week program. And trust me, every batch till date has told me that they have never done a course like this. Yeah. Because I've never done a content writing course myself, so I don't know what that is, but they tell me that most of the courses out there are really talking about a lot of information which is readily available on Google. And what they found in my course is stuff that nobody talks about because probably they just don't know it, right? Which is really, really about what do clients actually want? What can you give them which will say, wow, I want to work with this person over and over again, and I'm willing to increase the price that I pay them just to retain them. Yeah, and that has happened with me multiple times. Like this 40 rupees a word, I was happily writing. So it's a 750 word article I write for my client. And I do like 3, 4 articles in a month. And I was doing it at 20,000 rupees. Okay. And the client kept sending me articles, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm swamped. I can't do any more of these because I have too much work. So he was on a call with me and he said, Supriya, let me call you back in 10 minutes. Right. And he called me back in 10 minutes and he said, we will pay you 30,000 rupees for 750 words in 10 minutes. Right. He called his chief marketing officer, got an approval, and told me, do this. And now, because of course I'm getting more paid more money there, I prioritize their work, and um, it works win-win for both, right? But when you do that good work, when you understand what the client wants, they want to stick with you. So that's what the course covers over a period of 8 weeks. I've changed the format a bit in my fifth cohort. I hope there are some people here who are a part of the existing cohort. Aditi, I see you. Do you want to like pop in and say hi? Okay, let me put you on 1 second, yeah? Mm. Hey, Aditi.
Hi, Supriya. I cannot go on video. I can't see that, but that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of
No problem.
cool. So Aditi is a part of the latest cohort, which is not yet done, but it will be great to hear from you, Aditi, some honest feedback on how what you felt about the course till now.
Absolutely. Um, so a quick intro is that I'm already a brand marketer and I know how to write. But after joining her course, it's been such a revelation, right? Like how to structure your thoughts, how to write down what, how to actually write content that people like and understand and simplify it for users. And that is missing from most people. Having worked in B2B, B2C, everybody tries to stuff in content, right? And they think that they're great writers. But but when Supriya does the review and when we do the review, we realize we're really at like a very base level. So that is really, really great with the course. And I'm only about 4 weeks into it, and I still join this webinar as well because I believe the value that she's providing is extremely helpful. And just trying to take it all in to improve the quality of my writing.
Thank you so much, Aditi. Um, and I totally believe in, sort of hearing it directly from the people who are a part of this journey rather than like tooting my own horn. So thank you so much for like I just put you on the spot, but
No
thank you.
problem at all. Lovely meeting you again.
Same here. Okay, so what you're going to get in the 8 weeks is what I'll also do is I'll send out an email with all these details that are there. But effectively, we talk about what is high quality writing, what is the intent, why are people struggling to write good content, and then some tips on how do you improve your writing with some real time feedback from mentors, live calls with me. So, in this course, you will get like 2 live calls a week with a mentor and for every week, right? So that is around 16 calls with a mentor, 4 calls with me, plus like perpetually you can join the calls that are happening every 15 days with me. You can join any of the calls. You can even join the cohort coming after that when if you're not able to finish this one for any reason. So there's a lot of flexibility because I believe in building a good community rather than like saying, okay, this is it, and you can't attend any more sessions like that. So that's essentially what it is, and the applications are open. I'm also going to share a link of the applications with you guys, and if you like you can, and it's an application only program, okay, so you can't just pay up and sign up for it. You have to apply, you have to tell us a little bit about yourself so that we can find a good fit, right? Because like I said, I'm trying to build a positive community. So we can find a good fit, and then somebody from my team will call you, have a discussion. You can see if the program works for you. We can see if you work for the program, and then you join this, like now I think 70 people strong group. I also share a lot of opportunities in the group for writing. Quite a few of them are tech, but I'm also trying to, any non-tech writing I come across goes directly to the group and people can pitch in directly. But I can say consistently around 20-25 lakhs worth of work I have shared with this community since like just April last year, right? So if you have the hustle, if you have, the ability to really understand what I'm trying to teach and level up, there is a lot of work to be had. And I would really love it if some of you are a part of this group. So I'm going to share the link with you, and then you can put in your application. Melissa, if you already sent an application, then somebody should call you, because last time I think we got some 250 applications and I have a very tiny team. So it takes us really, really some time to scroll through all of that. And I will make sure that somebody or the other is calling you to have a chat, right? I will now go to the Q&A sessions and I will start answering your questions. But let me just quickly share this application link with you. 1 second. Sorry, my laptop is like super slow today. It's just refusing to open. 1 second. My laptop is like, this is way beyond your workday. Stop working. Okay. Till then, please keep putting in your questions. Okay, I'll just get to them in a minute. And thank you for your patience for staying beyond time. Oh, good Lord. This means I need to go to the Apple store and get this fixed. Anyway, coming to the questions. Okay. How to answer when the client asks, did you use ChatGPT to write this? So the answer depends on, did you use it to write it or not? If you use ChatGPT, you have to tell them that, yes, I did take some help from the bot, but you also then have to frame it in a way that says you didn't, like, the bot didn't do everything, but you personalized it to some extent. But I would hope, like I said, you're not sending just ChatGPT generated responses to clients as samples. So if they ask you, be very honest and say how you have taken the help of the bot, but ultimately the output is human and it is written by you. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. I've sent the link to the form in the chat window, so please go ahead and fill it and somebody will be in touch. Okay, Vimal is asking, what are all the steps to become a good content writer from a beginner? Okay, Vimal, this is a very long question, like a question which requires a very long answer, but I have another webinar. It's called Ascend, and that's a framework I've put together to sort of tell you exactly what are the steps to get to from a beginner to a highly paid content writer. I don't know if I have a recording of that, but I will be doing another session in February about with the Ascend webinar. So you can please join that session and see that. Effectively, it is about, leveling up your skills, building a portfolio, scouting for clients, negotiating your price, and then ultimately delivering good work that gets you repeated clients over and over. But yes, I will explain that. That's a 1.5 hour webinar. So I'll explain that there. Okay. Should I send a link of articles as sample or directly send articles? If you have links, please send links. If you don't have links, then you can send an attachment, which is also fine. Is there any limit for including the sample work for each category? Like I said, if you send hundreds of samples, the clients don't have time to look at it. Send only your best work. If you're sending multiple samples, maybe 2 blogs, 2 emails, 2, 3 social media posts, should be enough, right? And 1 article, maybe 1 case study. whatever different types, 1 or 2 of each should be enough, right? Because they just want to see what is your writing like, what is the versatility that you bring to the table. So that should be really enough. Currently, I write blogs, case study for my clients. For this, I have to shadow attend all their meetings. This consumes most of my time, and thus I can't take another client. Existing client pays well, but I miss the variety of work. What should I do? So Dinesh, if you have this problem where you don't have the bandwidth, right? That's where you can leverage the network. And that's what I did, right? The reason I started this community was not because I wanted to coach people. I never thought I would be coaching people. The reason was I had hit a limit in my ability to take on more work, right? My revenue had capped at 1 crore because I just couldn't write anymore. I didn't have the time. Yeah. So when I went to a business coach with this problem, he said, why don't you just train people yourself and hire them? Yeah. And because of that, because of this, like, my value from this community is not that you guys attend my paid programs, but it is that in every cohort I find 1 or 2 people who then join me and start working with me, right? So just recently I signed a 5.5 lakh retainer with a client, and I have to do zero work in that, right? Everything is done by people in my group, of course, which I pay them the price they have quoted for it. Whatever I negotiate with the client is up to me and my negotiation skills. But I ask them, what is your quote? And I pay them their quoted price. And then whatever is coming from the retainer extra is just coming into my bank account without me having to do anything, because I have other people who are doing the work for me. So if you have the time problem, you can leverage this community. You can leverage, and especially if you join the 8-week cohort, right? There's some amazing people there. So you can leverage them and pass on the extra work to them, and you can take your portion from it, right? And that will be like a easy source of revenue for you. Yeah. How can content writers from India stand out in the market when there's tough competition from English-speaking countries? Honestly, I feel Indians speak better English and write better English. It's just that sometimes our language can be a little Indianized and dated, and that comes from practice. But the only thing also is we also bring cost advantage, right? So content writers in the US, UK, etc., are very expensive. So companies are willing to outsource that to India because we are cheaper, right? We are a low cost destination. So something they will pay $1,500 for in the US, we can do it at $400. But if you look at $400, that's still good money for us, right? Because in terms of market rates. So that is like I regularly get work even from Singapore for a 2,500 word kind of an article. They'll pay me $700, $800, which is a pretty decent amount, for just 2,500 words. But if they get it done there, Singapore is an expensive place. They might end up shelling out a lot more, maybe somewhere around $3,000 for something like that. And so I don't think there's like a apples to apples comparison. There's very different, and you still can make a lot of mark. And you can still work for Indian companies who also have big budgets to spend. Like all of my clients, 90% of my clients are Indian companies, right? I don't even need to go to the US to find a client because they are paying me so well. So you have to just find the right clients in the right place. Okay. So again, question about my websites. I don't like, they're just dead. I haven't seen my own websites in so many years because they're not a income generating source for me. My income comes from the network I have built over time and how they refer me to different people. And there's another webinar I do for this, right? Which is about how do you find clients, how do you build network, and what is your circle of influence. So I'll probably cover it there. You could join in one of those sessions. I also do it as a part of the 8-week program to talk about why in the last 5-6 years, I've never done a cold outreach, and why in the last 5-6 years, I haven't even done any business development. But business comes by itself. Like recently, just 2 days back, one of my old clients messaged me, hey, happy new year. I've moved companies and I want you to enroll you in the new company. So I said, okay. And I sent him the documents. So I didn't have to go search for it. They were like, come on board. What is the difference between content writer and content marketer? Content marketer takes care of the entire content strategy to see how different pieces come together in a campaign. What's the kind of ROI you're delivering? What are the ads that you need to do? Who is the target audience, etc. Blah blah blah. So they take care of the entire spectrum. Content writers just focus on writing what the content marketer tells them is needed. Yeah, so that's a very basic difference there. As a beginner, how should we get our work checked or edited? Today, you can check it using tools. You can use ChatGPT to do it, to Bard to do it, to say, okay, here's a blog I've written, give me a review on it, and it'll, tell you what works and what doesn't work. You can also use Grammarly to edit it. You can use ChatGPT to edit it. You can also use the network of peers, right? So we have the WhatsApp group. You can share your work and our people can review it for you. If you join the 8-week program, I have a mentor who will review all your work, like the assignments that are there, the writing, etc., and give you live feedback on those. I'm working on more than one niche. Is it advisable to provide samples of all the niches? So you should have samples of all the niches, but anytime a client asks, you have to provide samples of that niche, right? So for example, I do a lot of employee related content as well. So when an HR comes to me, then I send them the content on employees. I do, of course, a lot of tech. So when a tech company comes, I send them work related to tech. When I do work with coaches. So when a coach comes to me, I send them that content, those samples, right? So you should have a few of each in each of the niches that you're working with. And depending on what the client's niches, you should send those samples. Okay. Suggest some media houses. Okay, there is a list on it, but it's a part of my 8-week intensive. So those people have access to it. Is UX UI writing a good niche today? So again, I feel that every niche is a good niche. You can make money anywhere. You just have to find out the right people who are willing to pay money in that niche. So, like, I made good money in every niche that I've attempted, which ranges from finance to real estate to coaching to vegan cooking, and everybody's paid me well, right? You just have to find the right people or the right companies who have the big purse to pay that money. Yeah. So I'm not like, it's a vague answer, but I totally believe it should be your experience that drives which niche you get into, and the expertise, how well you know a niche. And then it is pretty okay to find clients literally everywhere. Where to make a good portfolio? PPT, symbol, Word doc. PPT is good. Like I use the PPT. It's easy to make it classy. And you can design it on Canva or something. You'll have templates. So next 8 weeks are very busy. Would be possible to join your next session. So see, this session, the cohort 6 is starting on 12th of February. If you're interested, even in the next cohort, send in your application. Okay, the team will get in touch with you, and then you can figure out if 6 or 7 batch, whichever works with you. In fact, I have one person who's already signed up for the 7th cohort, right? So, I mean, we called him for the 5th cohort, and then he has signed up for the 7th one. So that can be totally figured out. Okay. How can I get high paying clients for content writing? So Vedant, first sign up for the free 30-day email course and you will get a lot of answers there. And if you still have questions, I'm doing another Q&A on 16th. You can join that and we'll try and explore this a little bit. Can we use WordPress as a platform to secure our, to showcase our sample work? Yes, definitely you can. Is it possible to read some of the blogs you've written? Okay, so if you Google World Economic Forum, let me try if I can do it because my internet is really in a terrible shape. But okay, I found one. Let me put it in the chat box. These are my articles on the World Economic Forum, which I wrote several years ago. And once you build the portfolio, you don't really need to add new articles to it. But I'll put a link in the chat window. You can read my articles there. Okay. Do clients also outside work on writing for affiliate marketing? I didn't get the question, so do you want to explain that to me? Hey, Manoj. Sure, join the next cohort. But like I said, please send in your application so then you can have a chat with the team and, at least you can figure out the fit. Okay. Cool. So I think that's all the questions that I had today. I'll quickly scan through the webinar. Okay. I'm an international rated chess player and chess coach with 25 years experience. I'd like to work with you if possible. So, like, as what, Utpal, you'll have to explain that to me. Thanks, Vrinda. I loved your simple conversational style webinar. I attended so many which feel very manufactured. Just this morning, I had one which was frustrating without delivering what it promised. This webinar was relaxing, valuable, direct, and made me feel connected to you as a person and your focus on the message you're delivering. Thank you, Vrinda. That's really sweet of you. Cool. I don't think we have any more questions. Manoj is asking, is there any apprenticeship program in your team? So, okay, so how my 8-week program works is whenever I get a project, I share it in the group, and people are supposed to send me their samples and their codes for that project, right? And once they send me that, I evaluate whether they're a good fit or not. And then the best code and the best sample wins the project, right? Now, over time, I've also identified a few people who work with me very regularly who will also be some of your mentors because they have made it work, right? They came from zero experience in content writing to people who are making 1 lakh rupee a month consistently now. So I thought who better to teach people than folks who have done that journey, right? So you have complete access to me, but they are also giving you very on ground reality of how things work. So they are some of the folks who are working with me consistently. And when I send them work, I ask them to also partner with folks in the community otherwise and get them more exposure as well. So, right, they reach out to you and then they say, what are your code, what's going to be your code to work with us and everything. So that's how it currently works because I believe my entire operation is remote, right? I have only 3 full-time team members and 2 of them have been hired via the 8-week program. So I wouldn't say there are any apprenticeship opportunities, but there are these ways, different ways of working with me. But that said, I'm also like, there's no guarantee in this program to say you will get work. If you're good, you will get work, right? And it is the onus is on you to be good. I can facilitate, I can teach you, I can literally one of the feedback that I've got is this is the most honest and transparent program that people have attended in the sense that I don't hold anything back. People have got opportunities to attend live client calls with me, and I don't think anybody opens up that kind of um opportunities for people. But you only get it if you are good. And that is something that you will have to prove to me after I give you the tips and tools to write great content, and you have to practice and do that, right? So that's my belief, and that's how this is working. Super. So I think that's what it is. I'm sorry, there is like a party going on next door. So there's a lot of disturbance happening now. So I'm going to close this session for today. Thank you so much for attending. I know some of you are also asking logistics-based questions. So I'll send an email. You'll get an answer on all of that in the email. And any questions that you have, you can also, I'll share the email and the phone number of the person who is coordinating this for me. And you can ask all those logistic-based questions there. So that is the best use of your time and my time as well. But again, thank you so much for staying till the end and for your kind comments. And have a great weekend. And also, yes, thank you for joining on a Saturday evening. Yeah. And I hope to see some of you in my 8-week program. Super. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, happy Lori. Happy Sankranti. Thank you. Bye.